Hi guys, my name's Jamie and I'm documenting my journey as a junior product manager to help others move into a similar role, as I believe this is something that would have really helped me when I first discovered product management and began looking for a job in it. So what I'll cover is what I believe a product manager to be, what assumptions I had going in, the pains and struggles that I've had, and the lessons I've learned so far. I should say I'm only a month into my role, as the title suggests, so I've still got a lot of learning to do. There's a lot of stuff to come my way, but this is just my observations so far. So I'm 23. I left university in 2019 with a degree in AI and robotics, where after that I moved into a job at Amazon as a machine learning data analyst. And then I got picked up at Johnson Matthey for a SAP administrator job. And then now I work as a junior product manager. I don't have any official business qualifications, although I did some online certifications on product management specifically before landing the job, and I believe that really helped me. And I also believe that like a formal education in business would have been beneficial to me. With the field being as competitive as it is, I faced a ton of rejections, but this just comes with the territory. It's a really highly coveted job. So if you're looking to become a PM, just prepare for this. And then side note, I'm still, like I said, I'm still very new into the role, so I'm really just still in the learning process. You shouldn't take what I'm saying as gospel. I'm just sharing my experience as a junior and hoping to shed some light on what you might expect going into the role. So, what do I believe it means to be a product manager? One of the things that I hear pretty often is that you are the CEO of the product. While this is partially true, I believe that it leads to some arrogance and that the attitude in this role don't really go together. You know, you can't fire people, you don't own a team, people aren't working for you because you have authority. People work for you because you have to get them excited about the product and what they're working on. You've got to back up what you're saying, you've got to make what's right. You know, CEO of the product, it's kind of correct, but I don't like the term. I also hear a lot about the intersection between user experience, tech, and the business. This is true, but I much prefer the definition by Ankit Prasad, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, who explained product management as product managers own the what and the why, as opposed to this kind of vague understanding of their within intersection of UX, tech, and business. You know, it's not wrong, it's just a bit too vague. I'll also link the talk that he did in the description. He was a Google product manager, and it's something that I found really insightful. Also, a product manager is somebody who's a good communicator, they're a decision maker, they're an expert on certain things that I get into, and they're a customer advocate. So when it comes to communicating, you should be able to align teams, you should be able to create actionable and digestible chunks for the teams, and you should be able to clearly communicate vision and priorities. You should also be able to prioritize quickly, with purpose, whilst filtering out alternatives, and you should really be data-based. Everything that you do needs data behind it. You don't go into it blind, don't go because you've got a hunch. They should all be data-based decisions. So you also need to be an expert on your business, the product, the data, the market, and its competitors. And then lastly, you should be a customer advocate by looking for the pain points. You should empathize with the end user, and you should understand their motivations and their behaviors. With all that said, this is how I found it actually turns out. So my assumptions going in, if I start with the first one, I assumed I'd walk into a tidy house. When I was doing a lot of the theory, I wasn't really prepared to not have a lot of resources. I kind of thought there'd be a lot of frameworks there, a lot of groundwork. I thought that all the information I needed would be there. This just isn't the case. Where I'm currently working, we've got a lack of service definitions. Team alignment is a bit shaky. There's no existing frameworks or competitor analysis, and we weren't looking at market health. And this isn't due to laziness from my mentor's part. It was just a case of he was put into the role, became super busy, and then had to expand the team, which is why I've been brought on. So that is a downside, but what it's done is it has allowed me to go in and make my own mark, because I've taken on that responsibility by myself. And then in turn, that then creates a more stable foundation for the product team as it evolves. But also, I begin to really understand these frameworks. I understand how they link into what we're currently doing and what we expect to be doing in the future. So if you do go into a role and there is a lack of resources, like I've said, just try and take on the responsibility, which brings me on to my next point, which is I assumed I'd be treated like a junior. Just because it's in the job title doesn't mean people will necessarily treat you like a junior. I also don't believe you should act like it either. Like, yes, you are a junior, especially someone in my role who hasn't done business stuff like this before. but don't act like a junior. Really, you should take on responsibilities as early as you can. You should really fit into the culture of the business, the processes. You should bring forth ideas and be really openly communicative. Just pretend like you are a product manager. I get treated like a product manager. I don't get treated like a junior product manager. I think that just comes with the job. Can't speak for everywhere, like I said, but yeah, don't treat yourself like a junior. Treat yourself like an actual product manager. Run at 1,000 miles an hour, fail at a few things and learn that way. Don't step back. Don't become more tentative on sort of what you're doing. If you're gonna fail, just go and fail. Go and learn it. That's the advice that I've been given by my boss, and it's advice I've taken on. And to be honest, if you liked it or not, that is what I'll be doing anyway. You should be willing to go out there and fail at stuff and try and try and try. Another assumption I had, which is people will give up information easily, and that's within the business. So you need to be a bit of a politician, because it's actually a bit more tricky than you think. And there is nothing more frustrating than somebody having a piece of information and your work stalls because you aren't getting out of them. My only advice here really is to build rapport with that person or that team, and it'll just come much sooner and much quicker. Before then, obviously, at least in the UK, as I'm making this, we're working from home right now, you can't really go and do this, but I'd advise you get up and go and talk to them in person instead of back and forthing on emails. It's just much easier. And also, if you can prove to them or show to them why them giving you that information is valuable, that'll also be a lot easier. So if it's something that's going to help them as well, then explain that to them. Show them how it's going to help them, and they're going to want to give it to you. My next assumption, so this won't apply to everyone. In fact, probably quite a minority. But it's that I'll be working on a product. So the business that I've joined isn't actually a product company, it's a service company. And whilst a lot of the stuff that I've learned has been really useful and does translate over, there are still a few differences, and I could be completely wrong on this, for example, but it feels like the cost of failure is much higher because launching a service, we need to hire a bunch of people. We need to get like a lot of more hardware, sort out the infrastructure, different marketing tactics. It just seems like the cost of failure is higher, as opposed to if you're a software company and you go in and you begin managing like a feature, the cost of failure on that is actually a lot lower. But of course, I'm not taking into account like if you're making like a whole new software. Of course, that can be disastrous as well. I'm not trying to put myself above a software product manager. That's not what I'm doing. But it does just seem that things are a bit different. But again, the same in a lot of ways. And I wouldn't necessarily expect you to always be working on a piece of software. It could be a service that you're working on. Next is that getting a validation on ideas would be fairly easy. It's not that it's really difficult. It just depends what it is. So if you're somebody who is going to launch a new service, trying to talk to people who don't currently use your services is really difficult because nobody is interested in talking to you because, to be honest, why would they? They don't know me. And also pricing can be frustrating to find out and can actually be borderline impossible to find out. So if you're going to join a services company, keep that in mind. But when it comes to expanding like a current service, if you've got customers, that's not too difficult, although it has been a bit grinding, especially in the holiday season. My experience would just evolve over time to see if that continues into the new year. So to get into the next section, unexpected pains and struggles. Like I said, lack of information and internal processes, that's caused a lot of struggling, and it is something that I did not expect at all. One thing I really didn't think you'd have to do is be careful with the information that you have. Telling somebody the wrong thing can actually lead to some pretty bad consequences. So for example, if I mention to like somebody in sales and I word it incorrectly, then what they might do is take that, go and sell it to a customer, and then it was only an idea. It's not actually out there yet, but now you sold it to a customer. And that's even worse if it's an existing customer. Oh, we're doing this now. We're not. Partially this is just down to being an effective communicator, but also you just want to be careful as well. And this has happened within the company where somebody has either said the wrong thing or communicated it badly. It's been taken like, oh, we can go and sell that now. Wasn't the case in the first place. And now we've got like a pretty disastrous situation. What this can lead to is if the capability is there, it means some teams are just going to be going and doing that, but they won't be happy about it. And they're going to be really struggling to actually put that out there. It causes a lot of headache for a lot of people when that sort of situation occurs. Until you got the idea fully fleshed out, until you got vision, I'd kind of keep that stuff to yourself unless somebody needs to know. And then lastly, you don't know what you don't know. But with product management, the holes in your knowledge may only appear when somebody needs something right now, or you're just struggling your way through a task. This is just part of the learning process of being a junior, so I wouldn't stress about it too much. Despite what I said earlier, you're a junior, so no one should expect that you know everything. And if you're lucky, you're working to somebody who encourages you to go 1,000 miles an hour, as opposed to criticizing failure or expecting you to be ultra careful. So lastly, just overall lessons learned. The ride is nowhere near as smooth as your studies may suggest that it is. You need to hit the ground running and be really prepared for a very steep learning curve. You need to be really good at Googling. When I'm doing market research, sometimes I can go days without finding something that I need just because my Googling skills are not up to scratch. And then kind of on that, you need to get creative in how you gather your information. If you need some competitor information and you can't find it out, maybe you've got to do some funny things to weasel that out of them. So I hope you guys found this useful if you're looking to go into product management. And I hope to continue this series as an informative channel on my journey as a junior product manager. I've also included some links in the description that I think you'll find useful, and it's stuff that I found useful pre-product job and what I've continued to learn during that time. So yeah, thank you for watching.